Hey, what's up, everybody? Um, so in this video, I want to talk about the game on Saturday. You're asking me what game am I talking about? Well, there's a game Saturday at noon. I believe it's noon Eastern. It's the Jackson State North Carolina Central game, the Celebration Bowl. Um, the reason I wanted to make this video is because I believe, in my opinion, I don't believe people are. I don't think they're. I don't think they're putting enough um, concern into this game. I think a lot of people um, are looking at this. It's going to be for the most part. From what I've seen a few people here and there. They'll post like, "Oh, it's going to be a close game. Jackson State by 3. Oh, they're going to blow them out by 20 points. They're going to keep up the no one scores in this 3 times mentality thing. Um, which I mean, when you think about it, if you let up 3 touchdowns, that's 21 points. I mean, 3 field goals, sure, but the 3 touchdowns, that's a different story. But anyway, so I've been thinking about this pretty much since the beginning of the week. So I've been thinking about this may be not just because Deion Sanders is leaving, but because this could truly impact, his coaching legacy at the school for, I would say, for years to come. If they win, all right, cool. He's a legend. He's undefeated. Got a Celebration Bowl championship, 13-0. He'll always have that in the history books. You know what I mean? But I don't think people have thought about, because you have to think about it. At the end of the day, this is a game that has to be played. You know what I mean? You can't play it on paper. You play it on the field. And at the end of the day, there's 2 teams. It's either you win or you lose. There's no 100% guarantees in anything. So I don't think no one. I guess I don't. I guess they just don't believe it could happen. Um, but like, no one's asking the question: what happens if he loses, right? Because if he loses the game, that the narrative changes completely. Um, so say he loses, right? One thing that's going to happen is you already know the people are going to come out the woodworks and they're going to point at him and they're going to say, "Oh, you see that? You see that right there? That's why he left, because he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it down there in Jackson. He can't coach. He's a bad play caller. Yada yada yada. He can't handle the pressure against a real team, and all that foolishness they're going to bring up." Um, and then I always thought about um, the new coach. So if you don't know, TC Taylor, I believe, he's the wide receivers coach. He got promoted to head coach once Deion Sanders is officially is done here. And I think that will put even more added pressure on him than it already is, because he's already taken over for a living legend. He's only been there, 3 years, 2.5, I guess, and he's done a lot for that football program. And that's going to be some big shoes to fill. And I think if they lose, I think it's going to put even more emphasis on him next year, because pretty much he has to, he is part of the coaching staff. He's been part of the team for years now, and they have the motto finish, right? So basically, that's going to be in the whole off season, or how he's going to recruit. how he's going to do this and that, how he's going to actually get the team all the way back, not just to the Celebration Bowl, but you got to remember you got to get back to the SWAC championship first, right? So that's the hardest thing I don't think people understand about sports. When you lose at the highest level, it hits you. You know what I'm saying? It hurts. But it's something you're always thinking about constantly. Not every waking moment, but it's like it's always on your mind. Like, oh dang, we should have done this and that. We would have had a chance to win. And that's why people don't understand. It's hard. It's hard to get back to these championship games. It may look easy, but this stuff is hard, man. You look at even in the Super Bowl, you seen the even the LA Rams. The LA Rams are a mess, and they won the Super Bowl. And then you look at the Bengals, they lost, and then they had their struggles a little bit at the beginning, but they're coming around, they're getting their groove back. You know, they're I think tied for first in the AFC North. But that just shows you how hard it is because you have to basically you have to start everything over from scratch. You got to start a new season. You got to play these games again, beat these teams, and then try to get back to the spot you were the previous year. But I think people take for granted the fact that they get there. They don't understand the process and what happens and how much work it takes to get back. And if they lose again, then it's like, oh, this is well, this team ain't for real. You know, they've lost two Celebration Bowls in a row. I mean, what's it going to take? You know, it's going to put a lot more on Coach Taylor's shoulders than it needs to be. Because I think people don't understand when these big coaches leave, especially successful coaches, they always expect the next guy to come in and just, oh, here you go, take the reins. It's not that simple. There's a lot, especially this is his first time. I understand he gets what he has to do, but he still has to do it. And not everyone can do it in their first year. And, you know, I just think, or I believe, that's one of the reasons. That's a second reason. You know what after they lose, and then there was another thought that popped in my head that if they lost, right? What does that do? You know, for I guess the recruiting, because that goes hand in hand too. I think it's a lot easier to keep guys when you win, but when you lose, and especially them guys that have been there 3-4 years, right? This is their second go round, right? They're going to be like, dang, we the guy here 2 years in a row. We were basically undefeated coming into the game, and we still didn't cash in. And so a lot of them are going to be like, well, I don't know, man. I can't do this. I might have to go somewhere else where I got a better shot of, trying to get to that championship. And people are going to say, oh, they're just leaving to find the easy way. But there's no easy way, man. These games, like I said, these games have to be played. You still have to line up and play. It ain't like you going out there and it's just going to be handed to you. Even if you go to if you go to a quote unquote better school, right? You still have to play every down, every snap, every game, the full season, and whatever happens, happens. Like I go back to the KD thing. I didn't really have a problem with it because at the end of the day, they had 82 games. They had to play. Their opponents had to play them. And you had to go out there and give your best effort, right? And the playoffs came. And people forget that season, they weren't exactly a juggernaut in the playoffs. They were like, I think they were like a couple. I think that was the year with Houston, right? I mean, Houston had a 3-2 lead on them, right? And Houston choked it. So they were really close to getting knocked out in them playoffs before they went on and did the two-peat thing. But I didn't have no problem because at the end of the day, you still got to compete. And it's not like, them boys were just, I don't think they were looking at it, oh, we were just some big old juggernaut. We can just play half-assed and expect to win all these games. No, they had to go out there and give max effort and play the games and beat their opponents not uh, and not play down to their competition. That's one thing when these teams, especially early on, when they get a lot of success, they have a tendency to play down to their competition. And I get it; it happens to everyone, man. Sometimes you just it's a human thing. No one's locked in 24/7. You know what I mean? Everyone has bad days, bad moments. But you have to not. It's something you try not to do. It happens. I get it, but you try not. You try your hardest not to do it. Yeah, and that could be a big thing because apparently they got some four-star guys that are coming in this year. That performance on Saturday could solidify. You know what I mean? If they're gonna legitimately commit. But yeah, man. I don't know. I've been thinking about this for maybe early, it really started to hit me earlier this week because this was game. This was the week of the game, and it was really hitting me. I was like, everyone keeps talking about they win, and I was like, yeah, we know what happens if they win, but we're not looking at the other side of the story. Or I guess I would say we're not looking at the other. Well, I guess the other story, the other alternative story. What happens if they lose, right? And like I said, the thing with Coach Deion Sanders, um, I think it's going to make him look even worse, even though it won't be his fault. But we know how people are going to spin the narrative. Like I said earlier, they're going to say, "Oh, he can't coach, he can't scheme. He was only this good because he had the better talent and the swag and all that. That's why he left and ran to Colorado because he didn't have the coaching knowledge, the coach and whatever. And they're going to use anything against him if they lose. Oh, his players weren't that good, so he's going to take a bunch of them to Colorado because they can't hang out, they can't make it in the SWAC, so they got to leave and go to a lower tier Power Five while we're the best team in the SWAC. Which, like I said, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Being the best team in the SWAC, it ain't all what you think it is. Being the best in the SWAC is like being the best in the MAC. I mean, it's being the best team in the Sun Belt. Okay, what are we talking about? That conference, the SWAC is a very weak conference. I'm gonna be real with you. It's a very weak football conference. In basketball, that's a different story. They're actually pretty decent, the basketball teams. Um, but yeah, when it comes to football, yeah, the SWAC is not. It ain't no juggernaut. Let's keep it real, y'all. Some of y'all out there talking about, oh, we're gonna be a Power Six. Power Six, what? You know, you're not even a power conference in the FCS. What the hell do you think you think you're gonna get to the FBS and be a Power Six? Come on, dog. You're not even a group of five. You wouldn't even be a group of six. Come on, dog. I mean, you would be a group of six by, by the way it's set up. Obviously, you'd be a group of six, but you wouldn't be no juggernaut conference. Come on, man. Let's be real. Not to take anything away from you because you can only play with who you play, right? Obviously, you got to play your conference games. You can't. Who you play in conference is who you play in conference. You can't help who that is. Now you can help with the out of conference stuff. You could schedule better teams and to see where you actually are. I hope they schedule better teams in the FCS. Or try to get. I mean, I heard they got a couple FBS games coming up the next few years. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't think I don't think they'll win. I mean, they'll compete. Sure, they'll play with heart, play with grit, determination. They just won't win, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's it. That was just something that was weighing on my mind, because I want to see him go out on top of the world. I want him to ride off into the sunset with a SWAC championship and a Celebration Bowl championship and an undefeated season. I want him to ride off into the Rocky Mountains. You know what I mean? I want them guys to succeed. And they're going to talk mess about him no matter what outcome happens, but I'm just saying a loss is going to make it so much worse. And I don't want to hear that because it's been nothing but foolishness the last 2-3 weeks since he announced he's leaving for Colorado. And it's just like, come on, y'all. Y'all gotta get over yourselves. Y'all are taking this very personal. Like I said, in my opinion, I want him to stay and try to ride this wave as long as possible. I want him to run the table for 3-4 years in a row and go under. I want him to like legit make them a juggernaut. The juggernaut, you can't be a juggernaut, a dynasty in 2 years. That's not how that works. Dynasties take 5 to 10 years minimum to make, not 2.5 years. That's not how it works. I think people put too much. Well, at least I would say from what I've seen, Jackson State fans, they put a lot of. To be honestly, I mean that's their team. They put a lot of stock and emotion, and belief into this whole thing. For the most part, it worked. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's one man. He can't do everything. That's just the reality of it. He cannot do everything. That's if you went into this at the beginning thinking he was going to be some Jesus savior or something like that, then that's on you. You had your expectations unrealistically high. He is one man. He is not God. He cannot fix everything. Okay. So yeah. That's just my thoughts, man. I just want to get that out there. Yeah, I hope they win. Just so we can kind of put this era to bed, and we can have our celebrations, and it'll give Jackson State fans something to remember for years to come. You know what I mean? Like you ask yourself in 20 years, hey, where were you, man, when Jackson State went undefeated? And, you'll have your stories, and that's what I want to see. I don't want to see people ill will and bashing people for no reason because they're upset and they're being overly sensitive and not thinking critically, thinking emotionally. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, thank you for watching. I will be catching the game Saturday. I should be able to catch it Saturday because yeah, I'm off. So I should be able to catch it Saturday, noon. I believe that's noon Eastern. So I think that's like, is that like 11 Mississippi time, or is that 10? Is that Central or Mountain? I'm not Mississippi. I'm not sure where Mississippi is. I'm pretty sure that's Central. So that's like 11 o'clock, right? 11 a.m. But yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Peace.